Far Cry 6 is a game that has definitely learned from its predecessors, both in the franchise and in other games that preceded in general. The game features some of the most explosive fun I've had in a very long time, a deep story with much of the Far Cry formula back for more, and a host of fun characters to share the journey with. But while the game has improved on the formula in some regards, it continues to share that same old Ubisoft copy and paste strategy that keeps it from being truly unique. Now, that being said, I haven't actually completed the game yet. As of writing, I'm around a third of the way through the game. I know, horrendous. Due to my work schedule outside of content creation, I was only able to put 12 hours into the game thus far. However, I have plenty to say about it, and I will of course update my thoughts once I've rolled credits. But for now, here we go.
I must extend the draft to paradise. True Yarans from across our island, chosen.
Gameplay-wise, the series may be the best it's ever been in terms of the main loop. I constantly felt reminded of Just Cause 2 as I wreaked havoc on Yara, taking over military infiltrations and liberating the Yarn people. It also felt like a true evolution of the formula of Far Cry 3. We're back on an island facing a fearsome foe, but this time with an entire government at his side, compared to a pirate gang that we faced before. Like a love child between the two aforementioned titles, Far Cry 6 does a great job at blending gameplay elements of past games across the genre into something that's a lot of fun.
Orphans like us. He's bringing slavery back from the dead. In Yara, you can't run from it.
The story surrounds Dani Rojas, a girl, or boy, it's up to you, who finds himself thrust into Libertad, a revolution attempting to overthrow President Anton Castillo's malicious regime. Castillo, played by none other than the fantastic Giancarlo Esposito himself, certainly fits the mold of the Far Cry villain archetype. He exploits the island's resources and people, all to gain more power for himself, while torturing and murdering any who would oppose him. Esposito lends his talents exactly how you expect he would, with elegance and grandeur. Anytime he graces the screen with his face, he automatically steals the show. But that's not to say that other characters don't shine as well. Since the basis of the game is uniting the island against your opponent, you make quite a lot of friends, each with their own distinctive personalities and backstories. Also, so far I've already met a primary character who additionally happens to be trans, so A+ on that inclusivity rating, Ubisoft, well done. Dani themselves, though, is also a great character in the content I've played, but I would like to see them be a little more fleshed out. We shall see if the remainder of the game satisfies my wishes.
Oh yeah, do you know what's going on?
Where the game really struggles for me is the blatant reuse of assets. This is something Ubisoft has been accused of for many years, and in this game it's pretty obvious if you've played their past games. Now, I can't say any of this with absolute certainty, of course, but even if they didn't, it's still close enough to resemble games like Ghost Recon Breakpoint that they should have diversified themselves more anyway. Much of the game looks very similar to the previously mentioned shooter, to the point that it almost feels like they took the source code of that game and just swapped out whatever they needed to change to make it a Far Cry game. Now, understandably, there's plenty of reason why reusing assets isn't necessarily a bad thing. Why start from scratch when you can use what's already there? The biggest problem for me personally is that there isn't enough here to really diversify it from past games, so it just makes the reuse feel that much more prominent. Sure, there are some gameplay tweaks, but if not for the story and those minor tweaks, you could easily market this as a sequel to Breakpoint versus a Far Cry game, maybe even just an expansion.
Stay close, Lita. We have to get to the boat.
Okay, Dani.
But let's talk about those tweaks. One of the bigger changes to the formula is in its progression system. Instead of unlocking upgrades in a more traditional sense, all weapons are perk-based, encouraging regular swapping to fit the needs of the particular mission. You can install upgrades at workbenches, improving said weapons, but ultimately, most weapons you have at the start will still be well serviceable later on, provided you spend the resources on improving them. This can give a lot of player choice to the game, which is appreciated, but it can also make it hard to feel like you're truly progressing. Instead of gaining new abilities, you just continue to grow your arsenal and allies, which is great, but you as a player don't really feel any more stronger than you did at the start. You just have more stuff. However, the stuff there is good. The main draw when it comes to weapons is resolver weapons, custom guns created by your ally Juan that range from poison gas to turn your enemies to your side, to a powerful pistol with a shield for increased offense and defense. While I haven't explored all of the resolver weapons in the game, the ones I have unlocked have definitely been my go-to weapons, as they offer the most unique gameplay compared to the standard guns in the game.
Come on, we gotta move.
Performance-wise, the game runs fine by me. I've been playing on PS5 and I was surprised to see that there weren't actually any graphics options for me to choose from, abandoning the now standard quality versus performance modes that come with most AAA console games nowadays. Instead, it runs at 4K 60 FPS, or so they say. I don't have the tech to see if it's a native 4K or adapted resolution like most games do, but the game looks beautiful, and the only noticeable stuttering I've noticed has been occasionally during some cutscenes, which, while jarring at times, are certainly preferable to having them during gameplay. Probably my biggest criticism would be towards the engine itself. There's certainly a massive amount of textures in the game, but something with how the engine works keeps them from looking all that photorealistic. They have a lot of detail, but they still have that cartoonish look that older Ubisoft games had. I'm not quite sure what it is, but the character models especially suffer from it, and it's the biggest thing that keeps this game from being one of the best looking around, frankly.
Where the fuck are you taking me?
Also, as a side note, right at the jump, the game requires you to choose between a ton of accessibility options, including turning menu narration on by default every single time you start the game, just in case someone who needs it is playing. Toggling it on and off is as easy as pulling the trigger in the main menu, and after the first boot, it will be disabled thereafter, save for a constant press X to start every time the game launches, which, if you did toggle it off, wouldn't they also want to say press right trigger to enable menu narration? I don't know, but I appreciate it nonetheless, even though hearing Far Cry Siri every time I launch the game does get a little tiring. Ubisoft in general has been among the best in the industry when it comes to accessibility, and they're only continuing to get better.
Good. The boat's not going to wait for us. Shit, dead end.
I titled this video 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and I stand by that. The story thus far has me satisfied enough, mostly due to the wealth of diversified characters. Resolver weapons keep the gameplay fresh enough, even if it does borrow significantly from other games, for better or definitely worse. But the game, as of what I've played now, feels like a desperate attempt to be its own game while also being the 6th installment in a franchise owned by a company that has published hundreds of games. Some things work, others don't. If you're a fan of this genre of game, I think you'll have plenty of fun with it, but don't expect this to be anything revolutionary, pun unintended. While I love the Far Cry franchise, I think if the trend continues for the whole game, they should consider giving the brand a rest for a while, at least until they can execute a truly fresh and innovative installment. If not, well, maybe Far Cry should be far gone. Let me know what you thought of the video. Do you like what I have to say? Do you have any comments, anything like that? Let me know down in the comments below. Like if you like it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys next time for whatever it is I'm doing. Alright, see ya.
Keep moving, Lita. We're almost there.